Otukonor, I mean, having heard this and a number of other concerns, in fact, all of this borders on the state of the economy, right? And whether you can actually find money to fund this policy in all of its aspects. The money that the universities are going to lose in the form of IGFs, as clearly and succinctly stated by Prof. Gyampo, and then also the cost that you have put to this promise being implemented. And we're going to put a few things on the screen right now. That 270 to 290 million range that you have put the operational cost of this promise to. First question is about where you're going to find the money, especially because we're going into 2025. From 2025 to 2026, if you've listened to the economic analysis of how the state of the economy is going to be within this period, it certainly raises questions. And especially because you are also promising to scrap a number of taxes, betting tax, e-levy, and then also COVID-19. That is revenue going away as well. And in fact, if you listen to, I've seen a document from the bank, including the finance ministry, that if these three taxes are scrapped, we're losing as much as about almost 28 billion approximately, based on the projections 2025 to 2027. Some 28 billion approximately is going to be lost if these three taxes you have promised that you're going to scrap is indeed implemented. Beyond that, the other promises you make in the specific to the education sector is about maintaining and expanding free senior high school. That also comes with an additional cost, because the current budgetary allocation for free senior high school at least is about 2.75 billion annually. If you're expanding it to cover private senior high schools, that comes with an additional cost as well. You are promising bed for all, meaning that you want to solve the accommodation issues at the tertiary level. That also, you're talking about a collaboration with the private sector. It comes with some level of cost as well. So you can understand why people raise these questions. And so where are you going to find the money?
Okay. First of all, Alfred, let me extend warm greetings to our viewers.
I've got many people saying that it's been a while they saw you on TV.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yes, he's had a lot of money and he's minding his business, chopping his money.
No. I think he's been schooling.
He's done with schooling. He's done with his PhD. We are schooling together.
I'm in academia with him. He's a fellow you have. Yes. Okay. For we the politicians, not the grace of God.
The goat sweats, right. But because of the hair, you can't see.
So, Prof, a very quick one before I address your question. Prof raised the question about the call from UTAG to engage on the tertiary education policies. Indeed, we had written to UTAG first from my department, wanting to engage, I think about 3 months ago. We have been doing series of engagements with various unions and various organizations and civil society groups. And we have even met UTAG. And most of the provisions that we have made are in the manifesto, are from the extensive discussions that we have had with the various unions. Unfortunately, we had not been able to meet UTAG because of some schedule arrangements from your end. And so we are very much open to that engagement. President Mahama is willing to do that engagement. We had wanted to do that before the manifesto, and after the manifesto we would come back. But because we were not able to do that before, after the manifesto we are surely going to have an engagement where we'll discuss an extraction of whatever policies and programs we have for the tertiary education in Ghana. And so be on the lookout. We may reach out very soon for that engagement. Having said that, we always come prepared. We always come prepared because we know our bits. We know exactly what we are doing. Indeed, the issue about this policy, let me first of all express my excitement about the kind of attention this policy has gained, because I have a personal experience which makes this policy very dear to my heart, because myself, before I entered the university after secondary school, Even though I had become the overall best student, I wanted to do medicine, I stayed home for 3 years. And it was purely because I couldn't pay school fees. And after 3 years, when I gained my admission, to be able to pay the admission fee was the biggest challenge I've ever had in my life. And it took some 2 benefactors in my church who put together 20% of my school fees to be able to start University of Ghana. Justice Nielsen and Dr. Atolik. They put the monies together and they helped me to start school. In fact, when I entered University of Ghana, paid the 20%, the rest, accommodation and everything was a challenge in common at all. In fact, when they gave me my room, that was the time purchasing was very popular and selling of beds were very popular. And I had to go and get somebody to pay for the bed so that I'll patch with that person. And in 1 month, things were so difficult. So my patching space, I have to sell it and go and use the money to take care of myself. I slept in the TV room for almost 3 years. And so this is so personal to me. And I know there are a lot of young people that went through the same thing, that are going through the same thing that I went through at the time. In fact, when you look at the statistics, the universities altogether give admission up to about 125,000 Ghanaians every year. Yeah. Out of the 125,000, only 74,000 are able to make it to the university. So it means that some 45,000 do not make it to the university. Why don't they make it to the university? Because they can't afford the admission fees. So they have qualified. They are good. They have their future ahead of them. But they are not able to get the opportunity to go into the university. And so this policy was made advisedly to cure that major challenge that a lot of our young people are going through. And 45,000 young people is not a small number. And so our thinking is that for all those young Pitabuamo Otukonors who do not have anybody to help them go to the university, President Mahama and the NDC government will take care of your initial cost to enter the university, remove the barrier from entering into level 100. And so you get your admission letter and you just walk to the university and register and start your school. So the stress that you would have gone through to go to Professor Gyampo or come to Dr. Pitabuamo Otukonor for help would have been removed. Now, when you get into the school, we all know that starting may be easy or starting may be difficult, but the most important part is staying in school for the next 4 years. I was very fortunate in Legon. After my first year, because of my grade point average, I had scholarships. Student aid gave me full scholarship to pay the fees for all the 4 years. And I was on Finatrade scholarship as well. Something was coming in. And I enrolled on student loan as well. And my life became easy on campus. But some may not be able to get a scholarship.
Indeed. So there was that question about, so you are solving the entry problem with this promise of no fee stress. Then the person gets in level 100. From level 200, what happens next?
Exactly the point I was about to make. So the person gets into school, first year is catered for, he must go to second year, school fees must be paid, upkeep must come in.
True.
How does the person survive? And so there too, there's a stress that must be dealt with. And that is what President Mahama is saying, that for everybody who enters into level 100, and that person is having school fees challenges, and that person requires financial assistance, that person, after enrolling free in level 100, would have to register for the student loan. And so from second year, the student loan will now take care of your school fees and the rest for the rest of the period. But again, let's come back. Student loan. How much do we give on the student loan? It has its own financial difficulties, and I'm going to come to the challenges and how we'll deal with that. But the student loan is given to students sometimes at the end of the academic year because it is yearly. Sometimes it is given mid-second semester. And so the students will struggle and they will go through the difficulties of not being allowed to write exams and so on and so forth before the student loan comes. And so what we are saying is that we must restructure, enhance and improve the student loan, such that the amounts that we give to students on the student loan would be able to take care of the school fees, the average school fees and more. So that when you enroll on the student loan trust, your commitment to pay school fees is made to the student loan trust, between the student loan trust and the university, such that the school fees payment will now be the burden of the student. The university will not be chasing the student for the school fees. So far as you are a registered student loan beneficiary, those loans for the payment of the fees will be paid directly to the university, such that the student will now not bear the responsibility of having to go and collect the money and come and pay.
So that means that the monies are going to come in on time to the university.
Exactly.
Why are you going to get that money?
In fact, I have all the information for you. If you would relax,
indeed,
you would get all that in time. Okay. But I want you to understand and follow the conversation so that you don't leave some of the pieces out. Very good. And so, please, your school fees.
Don't allow him.
Prof, you spoke for the 40 minutes. You spoke for 40 minutes.
He's a teacher, so he's going to.
Hold on. We are all teachers. That's why he spoke for 40 minutes. So allow me to flow. For the purposes of our viewers.
Yes.
For the purposes of our viewers, they must understand this very well. And so, from second year to your final year, if you are a student loan beneficiary, your school fees will be paid directly to the university. And whatever difference there may be for upkeep will be given to you at the appropriate time. So you'll be getting the loan.
You are giving the students money for upkeep as well.
I mean, it's a student loan. So if we are able to make provisions for student loan up to 6,000 Ghana cedi, you should be able to pay your school fees and get some for maintenance. You understand? Now, the challenge, the question you asked immediately, let me go to that. Get fund, which is by law supposed to feed or finance the student loan trust, is by law supposed to provide up to about 10% of the funding for student loan to the student loan trust, up to 10%. Currently, we are providing less than 1% of the Get Fund money. Get Fund is pegged to have received about 7.9 billion Ghana cedi this year. 4 billion out of that money is collateralized. It's not coming. You will not get it. The 3.9 billion that is available, half has been capped for government expenditure and other things. And some 1.5 billion goes to free SHS and pre-tertiary and all those things. Some meager 800 million goes to tertiary education and all those things. Now, our point is that, first of all, the money that is going to the student loan trust is inadequate to finance the requirements for student loan in this country. And so you have the case whereby students apply for student loan and they are getting meager loans like 900 Ghana a year. What are you going to use it for? You would use it for nothing, absolutely nothing. It yields no results. And so what we are saying, as mentioned by President Mahama, is to enhance our commitment to student loans trust fund. And by our actuarial analysis, we have estimated that even if government is able to allocate 3%, only 3% of the commitment to student loan trust, and we don't even do the 10%, we should be able to be raking in some about 300 million Ghana cedi, which will make it possible for the students on the student loan to get about 6,000 Ghana cedi. And so that means that if they are going to get 6,000 Ghana cedi, then they would be able to take care of the school fees and be able to get some difference for other things, including books. And you see, the thing about students in the tertiary institutions is that mostly for those of us who do not have parents who are taking care of us in school or who are well-to-do, everything else that you do, including the books and the photocopies, if you even do photocopies, are done by yourself. And you have to find a way to do them. And student loan is your only one-stop shop for extra cash to do all those things. And without that, you don't have any source. And so we believe that an enhancement and improvement of the student loan trust fund would be very crucial. And if you look at government finances, we are well within means to be able to improve the allocation to the student loan trust fund. And I have given you the numbers. Now, let's even go further and do some extra analysis on where to get the money. I have said that 4 billion has been collateralized. And out of the 3.9 billion, over $1 billion has been capped by the government, being used for other unnecessary things. I mean, I use the word advisedly, unnecessary things, including hiring private jets for the president to fly all over the world, and we pay $20,000 an hour and so on and so forth. But the point is that if government decaps the Get Fund, the Get Fund alone would be able to release enough, including 300 million a year, to be able to take care of this policy in terms of the first year school fees, and be able to get additional funds to improve the student loan trust, so that we would be able to take care of the continuing students and all the other important things. And again, government subvention to the universities. It is suffering because of the collateralization of that fund. Because the cash is not there. The cash are being held. You have collateralized them and you have borrowed on them and spent them on frivolous things without any benefits and without any returns. And so that is the kind of challenge that you are going to have. But with this policy that we have proposed, we believe that the funding would be the least of our problem. It is the public policy implementation efficiency that would be a problem. And that is what we have to look at. Eliminating moral hazard and adverse selection. Because indeed you would want the money to follow the numbers. And so the University of Ghana says that they have admitted 20,000 people. If they have admitted 20,000 people, how are you going to verify that indeed the 20,000 people are those who have been duly admitted and you have to pay for them? That's where the moral hazard comes in. Where you have rent seekers and individuals who would want to take advantage and create ghost names so that government will pay. And so there must be an efficiency mechanism to track the numbers and be able to pay according to the numbers. So for example, there's a shared dashboard that the universities are having, Ghana Education Service, Ministry of Education is having. And so you get your admission letter, you go and register. As the registration goes on till the close, every activity on the dashboard is received by the government of Ghana, so that the government knows how many students have registered and the commitment to student loan trust fund, and for that matter the commitment of student loan trust fund to the payment. And again beyond that, a monitoring mechanism, an efficient monitoring mechanism, efficient audit mechanism that can follow the numbers and be sure that the 20,000 people that registered are actually in school and the beneficiaries are not robots. And so all these are the implementation details that would help in implementing this efficiently and sustainably.
You see, that means that you are not, and first of all, this is to public university or public tertiary institutions, correct?
Exactly.
You say you are starting with public
universities, yes.
Are you saying universities that include technical universities?
Yes, it includes technical universities.
So we have the 10 technical
they are all university be university. So they are whether technical or
15.
So there are 15 traditional universities.
The public universities.
Public. And 10 technical universities.
Exactly.
No,
they are all together. All together.
So you are going to, and this caters for the entrance to all these.
Yes, and the total is the 125,000. And again,
and which year are you using as reference? I'm coming. Which year are you using as reference for
in fact, as at 2022, the 125,000 is 2022. But I'm even providing further information that out of the 125,000 that we are using, 45,000 of them did not report. And out of the 45,000, there are a number who received admission from about 5 universities or 3 universities who will not attend. Prof, you understand? So they would have to select one. And so all these numbers are conservative. But again, in public policy formulation, worst case scenario is what you have to use.
Certainly. And that's why I'm asking these specific questions about the year in reference. And then also the projected numbers going forward, because every year you would have an increase in the admission numbers, correct?
Correct.
Good. Now, if you are saying this, there is that question about targeting, really. Not everybody going into level 100 would necessarily need this.
Okay.
Because you raised the same question about targeting with the free senior high school implementation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Good. So, are you considering this proposal coming from even the UTAG National, when I spoke to him this week, right?
Okay.
That this policy, if you implement it targeting those who actually need it, then it would answer the question of sustainability, because you've done the numbers, and I'm listening to you. I would ask some questions about the numbers you have provided, but would you consider targeting this policy?
So let me first of all start from this angle. The NDC is a social democratic party.
Okay.
And as a social democratic party, equity is one of our key pillars.
Egalitarianism.
Yes, egalitarianism. And perhaps maybe let me use this opportunity to illustrate, maybe through some analysis, what equity actually means. So let's assume there are 3 young people who want to watch football over a fence. And there is a tall one, there is a middle height one, and there's a short one. And they are standing beyond the fence to watch the football. And the tall person can see the football match, and he's enjoying alone. The middle height gentleman cannot see, the short one cannot see. And you have 3 boxes on which they can stand and watch the ball. 2 things happens. You either give each of them 1 box to stand on, and when you distribute the 3 boxes, you would realize that the tall man would increase and see more. He's seen already, but he will see more, which means no value to him. The middle height man will now start seeing, and he would also enjoy. But the short man will still not see the ball, because he's so short that 1 box is not enough for him to view the match. That is equality. Now, on the other flip side, equity, which is what we believe in, which is what we have been advocating, which is what is consistent with what UTAG was saying, and which is what we have consistently said about free SHS, is that the 3 boxes, now you leave the tall man who can watch the ball without any elevation. Then you give 1 to the middle height man who can watch with 1 box, given to him. He will be fully elevated and he can watch the ball. Then the shortest one, you will give him 2 boxes, so that he can also watch the ball. And so what will happen is that now all the 3 of them would equally be enjoying the game, and everybody will participate in the process. That is equity. And so this principle that we have espoused in the past consistently, and which was the reason why we started the free senior high school with the day students, and was progressively thinking of expanding, but in a manner that will be sustainable and efficient, is the same principle we would hope to bring to this. But for starters, we believe that the current systems that we have in Ghana is not ample, strong, and foolproof enough to be able to help us to do that selection. We have had discussions at the manifesto committee level. We have done analysis of the Lands Commission data, the DVLA data, and the NIA data, as well as possibly synchronizing bank data and all these 3 data, so that we are able to generate some metrics that would be able to tell you the income levels of the parents, so that you would be able to target. But it is not ready. The data is scanty. Our data system in this country, And so what it means is that for starters, you may be applying the principle of equality, but the ultimate aim is to apply the principle of equity, so that you would be able to target and be able to save resources for those who actually need it.
Is this captured in the document?
Do you want us to write all this English in the manifesto?
I'm asking,
have you ever seen a manifesto with all this English?
You don't want a situation where this is your own articulation.
But Prof, I am a member of the manifesto committee. Actually, we drafted the manifesto for the youth. And you are also aware that I lead policy engagements for the party. And I speak to all the CSOs in all these conversations, this idea. In fact, the last time we engaged EduWatch, Kofi Asare and Co., we had a very extensive conversation on this in particular, in terms of targeting, because the targeting is not only for this policy. It is also for free SHS. And remember, we have promised that we want to extend the free SHS to private
senior high school.
But again, Alfred, before you ask your question, you see, when Prof was talking, you didn't ask many questions. I am providing all the information. I will provide all the information without your questions. So if you allow me, you get all the. Do you understand?
I'll ask you the question.
So let me. When you look at the case of free SHS, you have the case where the poor people who are living in poor, underprivileged areas go to Saito, like I attended Saito. And no matter how intelligent sometimes we may be, we may not be able to pass very well because of the lack of facilities for teaching and learning, the quality of education. And we are those who mostly fail from those underprivileged areas. Then those who fail are those who are not able to get placed into secondary schools and to enjoy the free SHS. So you go to Northeast, where about 65% of the students that finish JHS are not able to continue to secondary school because maybe they have not passed very well and they are not able to get schools. Then you said that 65% should now go to the private schools where no parent is going to pay their school fees. Can they go to the private senior high schools? What is the essence of the private senior high school? The private senior high school is providing fee-paying services for students who are not able to enroll in the ordinary private school. Is that also very good? So Mumuni Damani, who has failed or didn't pass very well in JHS, now must still continue to secondary school, but he must go to the private school and he must go and pay school fees. Doesn't make sense. Now all the private senior high schools across the country are virtually empty. They have the buildings, they have the boarding facilities, and the students are not there because there's free SHS. Who would want to send their children to the private schools?
Yes.
And so what we are saying is that forget about the inefficiencies that the double track and all those issues, the problems that it has brought to education. If you want to scrap double track, you will still need to provide space for the numbers. Yeah. How do you provide the space? The spaces are already there idle in the private schools.
So are you saying...
And so to efficiently do that, now you must move the free senior high school to the private schools so that then you can distribute all the numbers, including those who are able to get aggregate 29 or 30, but still can do very well in secondary school. So, and Prof, my mate in JHS, I attended Dansuman 2 JHS. In fact, at the time when I wrote my BEC, I got, I think, aggregate 12. My colleagues in my area who were, from good homes, who wrote the exams, some got aggregate 6 and all that. And guess what? We went to different secondary.
I want you to clean, yes, because you are. Yes, but then again, you see, I was hoping that we would not even dovetail into this, the private senior high schools a bit, but you've touched on it. Because if you are seeking to extend it to the private senior high schools, there's some study that we have already commissioned. Okay. The Africa Education Watch, we are working with them on that. The total fees that private senior high schools pay is relatively higher, okay? And you know this, as against what the is relatively higher than public senior high schools. That is also going to increase the cost, as we are talking about already. Because the reason why you raise the issue about targeting at the free senior high school level is because government is spending so much, and the spending efficiency has not been that effective. Now you are going to expand it to incur more cost for us, the people. How do you answer this?
Okay, so first of all, again, let me go back. When the money follows the numbers, you never get it wrong. And so we know how much we are giving to the public senior high schools to take care of the students. Mm-hmm. And we know how much per head government is solventing for the students. And so if you are going to move the students to the private senior high schools, you can't do a differential arrangement for them in terms of cost. Mm-hmm. You have to go with the same subvention. And we have engaged the private schools owners association.
You are going to pay the private schools the same amount of money you are giving to the public senior high schools?
Indeed.
Why?
Indeed. Yes, because if it's following the numbers.
But the private schools, they have the orientation as profit.
Yeah, but you see, that is the point. If you are doing that, it doesn't mean that the current rate that you are giving to the secondary, even the current rate, is not enough. Alfred. So what it means is that you would now have to negotiate the rate, take into consideration their management requirements. You understand? Right. So that then you can make the pegging at a rate that would be useful for them in management.
Are you saying